Hello, everyone. This is Adam Parker, the founder of the Detox Blueprint program. Today, I'm really excited. We've got another testimonial from one of our recent success clients, Guido. And I absolutely love this story. And really, he was able to go from having poor sleep and skin issues that really he was plagued with for many, many years to now next level energy. His skin has cleared up and he's feeling better than ever. So they've joined us today to talk about their story and how they were able to do that. Welcome, Guido.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. I had an amazing transformation, something that I wasn't expecting to happen after everything I had tried. So I can't wait to share my story. So hopefully I can inspire some people.
So let's jump in. Let's start things off with your story and tell us who you are and what do you do?
So my name is Guido. Right now, I am a head coach for Adam. Before I've done sales, I've done marketing. I've been in the coaching industry for a long time. Right now, I specialize in building systems for coaches, making sure everything runs properly in the background so that, the product can be the best possible for people. Right now, because I got really good results with Adam, I decided to get involved with the project so I can give other people clarity and they can get the same results that I got initially with my transformation.
Yeah. So obviously you are our head coach and yeah, man, we had such great synergy and you had such good results and you joined the team and that was a win for both of us. So it's great that you are, the proof is in the pudding, right? You went through the process, you saw the results and you were like, let's go. So that was great for that synergy to come together.
Absolutely. And I honestly care really much about the people that I work with. So I really need to believe in the product to be able to work with somebody. And this was it, honestly.
Awesome. So let's tell us about before the program. So what were the biggest challenges that you had with your health? What was holding you back and how did that impact your day-to-day life?
Absolutely. So for me, I didn't have the worst issues. I hear a lot of bad issues, people that have been sick for 10 years. But at the same time, I did have some things that were chronically happening, especially at my age. It's just not normal. And it hadn't started at my age, it had started in my teens even. So my main issues were seborrheic dermatitis, which is a cousin of eczema or psoriasis. I had big scalps coming off my skin. I would be scratching my scalp very often, and anything I tried didn't work. And the other side of it is I used to hit the gym, and I still hit the gym quite often. And I would sleep 9 hours and a half and still wake up tired and sore and have to be in bed for 2 hours just to muster up the energy to get up. So, running a business and all that with those things is just not feasible. And it was bothering me for a long time.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like those things, they're not like major things that, I can't walk or, these big major things where you'd end up in hospital, but they chip away at your ability to be productive, at your ability to get into flow state, and it's those 1 or 2 percentiles that if they're constantly there, they really stop you having that compound effect of just effortlessly getting work done, crushing it. It kind of holds you back more than we want to believe.
Exactly. And then the dependency on caffeine just to be able to get through the day, that would be the only motivator. And I don't want to run my body on caffeine. It just doesn't make sense.
So obviously before you join the program, there are many options out there, right? There's many different products and processes and methods that people talk about. Why did you choose detox specifically and this program specifically?
Absolutely. I mean, I think like most people, first time I had these symptoms, I just realized, okay, I'm going to go to a doctor and see if they can fix it. That was the authority back in the day. Now, I still believe in doctors. I think for urgent situations, they're the best at doing what they do. But at the same time, they only gave me suppressing medication. So I had medicated shampoos with high percentages of whatever compounds they use to neutralize the skin and to flush it out. Or they would give me boosters for energy. It just wasn't something that I wanted to rely on. I still figured out that my body was suffering on the inside, but I just didn't know how to fix it. So then I moved on and I got a little bit into biohacking, the idea of supplementation, extra magnesium, vitamin D. It all made sense. But at the same time, I had a pretty healthy lifestyle, And it didn't make sense that I was sick and not others weren't. And having to supplement with all this stuff, and honestly, even while taking, didn't actually make that much a difference, to be honest with me, with you guys. Like it just didn't. So that was a dead end for me as well. Then I bought into carnivore. I did that for a couple of weeks. I couldn't sleep. My heart would be palpitating the whole night. I would run into the kitchen just to eat a pear so I could calm down and then come back to sleep. It just didn't work for me. Maybe I should have pushed through the adaptation period, but I don't think anyone realistically, it's really hard to sustain a carnivore diet for the rest of your life with so much temptation of these other things. And ultimately, I want my life to be fulfilling. So finally, I realized, okay, so what's the root cause? Like, why am I even having these issues in the first place? And I started looking into that. I saw people speaking about parasites, gut protocols, gut healing and all that. But all of them were specialists, and I didn't see a pattern where all of them included everything. And then I found you as a recommendation, actually, by a friend of mine, a great friend of mine. And I just realized you actually were able to learn from all these people and develop your own specializations in each of these parts and then put it all together, which I think ultimately that's how I see patterns of success in business, in health, in the gym, for example. It's never just one thing. It's all together, working at maximum capacity to get a great result. And it worked. So the logic made sense. The emotion made sense. I trusted you as a person. And then that's why I joined.
Listen, man, I've been down that journey as well. I did, many years ago, the carnivore diets, the keto diets. And, what I learned, nothing works in isolation. So the carnivore diet, it helps a lot of people because it's removing a lot of things that cause gut irritation. And symptoms go away, but it's not sustainable. And as soon as you eat a piece of cake, comes right back. And so I went on that yo-yo kind of trying to find the one thing. And yeah, I realized that it's multiple things in a strategy that does the job. And yeah, it sounds like you kind of found that kind of solution was needed. It's an integrative approach. And here's the deal. Like I say this quite openly within the program, even though I'm detox, there's so much more to what I teach within the program because it's one pillar of health that we need to know more about. But if we're not sleeping well, if we're not eating well, so healing the gut, protection to EMFs. So there's a lot of stuff that we go through, how to be healthy in the modern world, right? So even detox isn't the thing, but essentially it's the pillar of health that no one looks at. And actually it's, for most people today, it's the missing piece. And when they add that in, along with all the other things, that's when things start to change. So what was the most powerful part of the program for you? And, what made the biggest difference for you? So the program, there's a lot in there. It's a minimum of 4 months. It's a process that I always manage expectations. You got to do the work, and you definitely did. So what was the most powerful part for you?
I think the biggest or the most powerful part for me was the organization. Because I had heard of some of these concepts, at least in the basic foundation of them. I had heard them before, but I hadn't implemented them in the right frequency, the right order, and doing things in the right way. And so because of that, I think that a lot of times is actually the X factor. And so what I appreciated is that even for the 4 months or even beyond that, I had a very clear framework of exactly what I had to do day to day, planned into my calendar, and then adapted to how I was feeling. So not only did I gain structure, but I gained a skill as well. So I had the skill of detox, so I could rely on myself moving forward without having to pay anyone else ever again. And then ultimately, I just understood that I didn't have to worry about my health. There was nothing out there that I hadn't discovered yet or hadn't learned because you were teaching everything that I needed. And so from that, I just realized health stopped being like this frenetic search for the next big thing that might be my solution. Instead, I found the answer, and now I can just live my life. I can work on my business and the stuff that I actually care about. I am passionate about health, but not as the pillar of my life, if that makes sense. So from specifically though, I realized that there's a lot more progression that can happen than just the basic things that we see out there. So I had heard of the liver flush, right, from there, Andreas Moritz and other people. I had heard of simple things like that, but those are very, very basic variations that get repeated over and over, but they really didn't do much for me. And you get very quickly into a bottleneck. Plus, you don't know how to do that in combination with others. So I realized that there's actually multiple progressions to go through in the program once you hit those bottlenecks. And I haven't seen that anywhere. It's insane. Like those progressions, it's just from experience. There's no way people could come up with that just from nothing. So it shows that you really dove into things. You really worked with lots of people to come up with these conclusions. And I mean, I know you yourself have done over 100 flushes specifically. Obviously, it's just a small tool in the whole process, but it's an important one.
Yeah, man. Comes from doing the reps, right? And going back to my other point, there's nothing in isolation, right? And it's so easy, because I think that like this in other areas of life, like this one thing gets the result, and actually you know, apply that to anything in life. It doesn't work. Like there's not one thing in business. There's not one thing in getting the physique you want. It's multiple things. So that's lovely. Yeah. And it was a process that was just built over years as trial and error. The analogy I like to use is if you, and I did this a couple of years ago, I renovated my home. Never done it before, spent a lot of money, renovated it. And then when it was all said and done, I sat back and I was like, right, if I had to do this again, I'd do this in under half the time, half the budget, because you now know the process and you've learned all the pitfalls, etc. So that's how I try to adopt it in this program. And I like what you said, like add on, you talked about beyond the program and having maintenance. And this is something that I thought was really important, because it's not just a one and done, right? And people have to have these tools, because ultimately, listen, it's not about fear mongering. We live in a world where we're exposed to a lot of toxins. So we have to have strategies and approaches to how we stay healthy afterwards and have maintenance. So tell me how that's impacted your life, because actually you talked about health being something that was a bit of a conundrum. Now you don't have that anymore because you know what to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think the main thing that happened is we live in a world not only of toxins, right? And we're exposed to that, and we have to control our environment towards that, and then cleanse our bodies. But also we live in a world of fast, right? Everything is fast. We need a crash diet these 21 days so that we feel better after 21 days. So we're trying to, overcome our mistakes of small choices that we make daily in 7 to 21 days. And sometimes that can work, and it's an exciting experience because you just see the weight drop or you see yourself getting better with detox. But it can also be really taxing to the body. And realistically, you're probably not going to be able to do that for a whole year straight, or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. I want to live to 100, and not 100 where I'm still, sitting down and I can't, I can't even walk, for example. I want to live to a full age where I don't have those issues that my grandparents had, for example. And I think the only way to do that is to be there for my kids, grandkids, hopefully great grandkids, is to have a really healthy body and have habits that carry you all throughout life. And also not habits that are super hard to stick to, like carnivore, for example. It's just, or diets like that. It's that restriction is just either going to make you miserable, and so you never live your life fully, or they don't really actually work and you break from that, right? So what I really liked about the process is that there's nothing that's going to make you incredibly sick, for 7 days straight. And so it breaks your routine completely, your momentum in business or anything like that. You can keep going exactly as your life goes. You don't implement everything at once. There's a structure in how you implement things. So the process goes with you and it adapts to you and not the other way around. You don't become a slave to your health, right? The process becomes a slave to you. It serves you in having a fulfilled life while still healing at the same time. And that doesn't apply to just the 4 months, right?
It's funny because I was chatting to, I met someone recently at my Wednesday swim club, and I was saying, what I do. And I said, detox. And it's funny because everyone's got their own interpretation on what that is. And I was like, some people think it's fasting for 7 days and going to Costa Rica and eating loads of fruits. And he said, literally, that's what I think it is. And I was like, yeah, it is that. It definitely is that. There's many ways to approach a problem. But the way I approach it is we have to live life and get on. And I don't think most people have the luxury of doing that, right? And taking time off just to, I'd even struggle to take 7 days off just to sit there and eat nothing, right? Some people love it. So yeah, it's about adapting around lifestyle, right? And I love what you said about habits, because ultimately everything comes down to our habits. And this is beyond health. This is with everything. The habits and the systems we have, that's what determines where you end up in life. And I really realized at the beginning, I have to create habits that once people bake in and they do them, it just becomes part of what they do. And they, I love the feedback. I know you said it to me, Guido, and many others are like, oh yeah, I'll just, my routines now, I'll just I'll just do them forever because I know they work and they add value.
Exactly. Yeah. So chronic issues, they're solved. I want to continue working with you because I want to get to 110%. But at the same time, if I have any issues, I can take care of them myself moving forward. So I'll always be grateful for that power you've given me, that control that I would never have gotten from a doctor or from a functional practitioner or a naturopath or a biohacker. From their own decisions sometimes, or, because it's the way things are structured. Sometimes they decide to gatekeep, or they just give the answer without explaining the answer. And that can feel limiting because I believe in freedom. I believe in freedom of choice, and I want control in a good way, right? I want my health.
So tell us how your life has transformed since you've been through the program, and tell us about the results that you experienced.
Well, I got involved with this community, which, let's talk because it's just amazing to be a part of this and meet people every day that I can inspire to change their lives as well. So obviously that's a great part of it. But let's say more specifically to myself, I think besides the fact that I now have control, right? I don't have to worry about health anymore. I now have the full benefits of full health. So, some nights I'm just excited about work and I go to sleep at 4 a.m. I wake up the next day like I'm 19 and I just went out at night. I'm healthy the next day. It's not a good habit necessarily, but I can push my body to that extreme because I always have mostly good habits. At the same time, when I keep my health really good, I sleep exactly at the time that I should. I eat quite well. Let's say 80% good choices of meals. I wake up the next day and I feel like a rock star. I can drink coffee. It doesn't affect me as much. I don't need to drink coffee because I just have natural energy. And honestly, sometimes I don't even drink coffee because I have too much energy. So it's just like I become too frenetic instead of actually focused. So, and that never happened before. It was always an issue of under energy. If that's not really a word, but let's call it. And then ultimately I can wear black again. I don't have to worry about scratching my head and then have stuff fall down. And I'm just not itching all the time. It was partly a histamine reaction, and I can just focus on work fully without any problem.
And that's really important, man, because these are small things, but they compound in a negative way over time because you end up spending a lot of time Googling at night how to solve the problem. It lowers your mood because it's something that is a niggle, right? So even though it sounds, some people might think that's insignificant, it's really important, and it does impact how we feel. So it's great that that's not there. So really looking back on the whole process, where do you feel you'd be now if you hadn't have found me, been recommended to join the program and gone through the program? Where would you be now?
I guess if you give it another 5 years, maybe I would have figured out all this stuff together. Probably not, honestly, but let's say I would have. But at this point, which is still not 5 years ahead, I think I would just still be trying different restrictive diets because my mindset had to change as well. I went from like diet is the only thing, diet is the big reason, or parasites, to everything needs to work together. So I probably would still not be able to wear black. I would have to wear gray, likely, which is not the best color. And then also just, the cycle of caffeine, I'm going to quit caffeine for 45 days, but then I feel really bad and sluggish. So I need to bring it back into my life. Oh, but now I'm jittery and anxious and I'm relying on this every day. And then I'm going to 2 coffees a day. And I mean, I am Italian, but that's not the way I want to live my life, 1 coffee at a time. So and ultimately I would be anxious for the answer, and that just adds to the stress. And now I don't have any anxiety. Just a lot better.
So if someone's watching this video or listening to it on podcast land and they're unsure about booking a call or, just exploring more about what we do here at the Detox Blueprint on this process, what would you say to them?
Absolutely. I mean, I understand, if people are either skeptical or reticent to, explore a new path. I think ultimately it's if they can listen to their heart and what they see, what type of energy they see from us, I guess. I think that could make a big difference, is to understand, of course, logically, that this makes a lot of sense, right? It's actually the root cause. We're introducing everything. And if all these concepts that we mentioned today make sense to you logically, now you just have to listen to your heart, because ultimately, I mean, the call is not to, like, Adam does do this for a living, but it's not something, we're not here just to make money. We're here to ease the pain that you felt, especially you, years ago, and that now you can pass on to others. So of course the money is a bonus, and it's great to do that for a living because now we can help more people. But the real purpose is to heal the world, right? Help 1 million people around the world to feel better. So the conversation really is about that. It's giving clarity, because that was the first step that we received. Once we got the clarity, then the steps became clear. And then it's just a matter of, okay, how are we going to do this, and not if we're going to do this. So ultimately, we're here to help. We're here to give clarity and nothing else.
I love it. I like what you said about, tapping into your intuition as well, because I think that's really important. And I think people have to, I'm about go off the feeling, right? How does something make you feel? That's normally my North Star nowadays. So I like what you said about that. Like if something resonates, then move forward with it. So very powerful, very powerful. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for Guido for letting me interview him today. It's been a pleasure. If you're watching this right now and you're interested in working on detoxifying your body and maybe having questions about the program, about what we do, book a call by clicking the link provided in the show notes or below in the comments. On this call, really, there's 3 things that we're going to focus on. Firstly, what is your goal in terms of getting your health back? Secondly, what is holding you back from doing that? Is it lack of knowledge? Is it lack of strategy? And then thirdly, it's getting clear on how to fix that and how to move forward. So as I said, if this resonates and there's something, and again, I go off feeling, and there's something that's resonating with you, book a call now and find a slot in the calendar. Thanks again, guys, and we'll talk soon.